friends. So, we'll use Dark Elves this time for our Undead Dark Elf Alliance. And then for the other alliance, which is Empire Vampire Coast, I'm going to go ahead and throw up a Necrofex Colossus. So, here we go. Queen Bessie is on the field, and we're going to see her go into action immediately, missing that first shot, but the Empire Vampire Coast Alliance seems to be at it again, just firing away, and we do have a gunnery wight here to resupply the ammunition on top of the beautiful Queen Bessie. Now, the Dark Elves are pushing forward with aerial support from their Vampire Count allies. Two Dark Riders Repeater Crossbows and Slaanesha's Harvesters. I really like that pick. It's just a nice complement here to the Vargeist. You have some magic damage, something helping a big blob fight, things to cause pressure with the Repeater Crossbows. But now the engagements are getting started, and the Repeater Crossbows not going to get too much damage there. Taking it a little bit in return, but all in all, things seem to be pretty even at the moment. Going to be looking at Boris Todbringer for the Empire, Lokir Fellheart for the Dark Elves, and Luther Harkin for the Vampire Coast with the Red Duke. So all heavy-hitting legendary lords here. And looks like right now Boris is getting in combat with Lokir, but I'd be careful. We have Boris and the Red Duke just double teaming. You have Luther Harkin and the Red Duke just double teaming Boris, doing so much damage, and now Luther Harkin needs to get the heck out of there because he suddenly recognizes he's all alone in this fight. Now, looking at the Empire Vampire Coast army, there's really nothing in the form of missile support other than Queen Bess, and I think that's really biting him in the ass when it's coming to this aerial combat, which clearly all of the leadership on the field is centered around. There's only two heroes on the ground, and that's a White King and a Sorceress of Beast. So Manticore summons could come into play here. It looks like they already have one of them in the field, but right now the Air Force from the Vampire Count is just overwhelming the Empire and Vampire Coast. It's just all of the chaff they have. These Vargeist are such great meat shields, and just really help, harass the enemy, give them that constant debuff because of the rear attack damage. But right now it does look like our red players have the lead in the balance of power. Lokir Fellheart obviously has regeneration in combat, and he's still very high on health. And then the Red Duke, same thing, Invocation to Heck, he's right back, good as new. And they still have a lot of the air superiority in the battlefield. And right now, the Empire, though, their infantry hasn't been engaged for the most part, so they still have a full health infantry contingent, here, besides these flagellants who have taken quite a bit of damage. It almost looks like they got shot by Queen Bess based on how that formation died. But right now, Queen Bessie, how has she done for these guys? 3 kills. Oh no, Queen Bess. I think she may have been in overspend here. Boris Todbringer has regenerated a lot of his lost HP, and the tide of battle keeps going back and forth between these two teams. Luther Harkin, now he's the one who's low, as well as the Red Duke, but Boris looks like he may be making his way back into this combat. We're going to see Invocation to Heck and Harmonic Convergence go down on top of Luther Harkin. Boris Todbringer is going to dive into the White King on the ground, and yeah, Summon of Zombies going down there. This is just a cacophony of madness, my friends. Crazy stuff. And the Vampire Counts and the Dark Elves really need to do something with their cavalry. They've been sitting back here and especially this. Charging headfirst into Spearmen with Cold One Knights. You don't want that engagement to happen ever, let alone choose for it to happen. Not to be too harsh, but you gotta call it as you see it, chat. And right now, Lokir Fellheart actually pulling out, the Empire making a good decision, it seems, going onto the ground and luring Luther Harkin. Lokir Fellheart. God, 2v2s when it's calling out lord names is a nightmare. But yeah, Boris Todbringer just taking a breath to the face and a Soul Stealer, fighting a Manticore summon. Over here, though, the Red Duke is in a lot of trouble, it seems. Luther Harkin chasing him, but those lovely Vargeis coming in once again at the last second to protect him and keep him alive. But yeah, this is a really close match. Still no clear leader on the battlefield as far as I'm concerned. White King is very low on health. Oh, but a beautiful Scabscrath going through there, doing so much damage to all that infantry. And another Scabscrath going through there. And yeah, both of these teams just very, very well played right now. I still have no idea who's going to win. Coldwell Knight's getting a nice rear charge in here, but Boris Todbringer has just dove in, and there's Demigurth Knights with halberds on the other side, and you know, Soul Stealer going down here. It looks like from Lokir Fellheart, but no, sorry, not Lokir Fellheart. From who the hell here? Oh, there's a Sorceress of Dark, maybe. What am I missing? Oh, the Slaanesha's Harvesters. Duh. There they are. But this is looking like it's maybe it for the Dark Elf Vampire counts. I think this is going to be all she wrote. Oh, there goes Lokir. He and his dragon are dead as a doornail. Repeater crossbows trying to throw down some firepower, but the balance of power is still in favor of our red team. They lost Lokir Fellheart, but the balance of power is still with them, and you know, not in any insignificant way. It's actually fairly convincing lead in the balance of power, so we'll see what happens from here. But Red Duke is going to need to regen himself. He's going to need to regen his White Kings, but he's approaching his healing cap, and it may be too late to save this White King. You know, getting double teamed by a Celestial Wizard and Boris Todbringer, and the other one is, you know, about to die, it seems. Only 321 HP and dropping. Vargeis going to be diving in here, just constantly pulling in and out, getting as much charge moments as possible and causing those rear charge penalties. Yeah, both teams playing this very, very well. Boris Todbringer, though, staying strong, taking a ton of damage early on in the battle, but showing he can tank it, he can regenerate, he can get back into the fight. And same with the Gunnery White. He's still around, and he's been firing the entire time. I'll bet you he's done some crazy damage to single entity heroes throughout the battle. This is when I wish they had the damage percentages at the post-battle screens, because the model kill count just doesn't cut it. It doesn't explain exactly what role a unit played in the battlefield. But I'd imagine this White King and sorry, this Gunnery White and the Vampire Fleet Captain of Vampires just paying dividends. Invocation of Nahek with Boris Todbringer's regeneration. That's going to be super useful. And now the balance of power is crawling back to even, everybody. Crawling right back to even. But I disagree with it. I think Boris got this now. This Celestial Wizard is a badass. He has been down here in combat for so long, just tanking it. Boris Todbringer fighting by his side. Does Boris have all of his debuffs? He sure does. So for Boris Todbringer, oops, if I can get him, he's going to have the Midland Rune Fang for the regen, obviously. White Cloak of Rorik, huge melee attack debuff, and Hold the Line, which is a great defense and leadership buff. Oh, he didn't bring the other one, though. Never mind. There's one more that he has. I forget the name of it, though. But, oh, Crush the Weak was the other one. But still, those debuffs just help so much when you're getting into a big blob fight like the one we're witnessing right now. And just watch the balance of power as it slowly starts creeping back. And speaking of the firepower from this Gunnery White, the Red Duke has been getting shot this whole time and is still getting shot at by the Gunnery White. Oh, they're such a cool unit. Plus, you know, reload the ammo on Queen Bessie. It's a must bring. But yeah, the Red Duke, he's seen better days, and that Gunnery White may have single-handedly won the game. because of his ability to constantly harass the Red Duke in the air. Because if the Red Duke wasn't getting sniped that whole time, he could have easily dived into this blob and killed Boris Todbringer. The Red Duke is definitely capable of that. He's no chump in combat, but some really nice compositions from both teams here. And I think, once again, and I've seen it in plenty of 1v1 battles too, where it's just the constant single entity like gunfire that a lot of players tend not to notice, including myself. But it's just like a Gunnery White, a Witch Hunter, those types of units that just over time continue to like a Skink Chief that just continue to shoot you, but you never really pay attention. It's not a ton of damage, but they have like tons of ammunition. Then they can really pay off a ton in the late game. That damage adds up, people. That damage adds up. Get through 2,000 HP of damage that you won't need to get through at the end of a battle. And as we saw here, I think that was completely the difference between victory and defeat for our blue players versus the red players here, because the balance of power was so far against them. Diving up there, and there goes the Red Duke. Without the Red Duke, the balance of power is just gonna go completely in favor of the other side. And we're going to see a GG 2-0 victory for Hell's Kitchen over Uncle Raptor. Gunnery White is an MVP. He's rising a crab. He likes to eat zombies. That's an original song. If you ever replay it, I will sue you. No, I kid. Notice that when it's too focused on air micro after I accidentally overextended my Lord once and to get my cab nearly involved enough. Yeah. No, that happens to the best of us, man. It was still a really fun series to watch, man. I enjoyed both teams' compositions a lot, that fight. Like, when I can tell what's going on, these 2v2s are great. So I just think I need to obviously practice more, because they are a blast, and it's cool to see what players come up with in terms of faction combinations. But yeah, just need to work on my casting skills with them, because they are a bit of a handful.